365 days ago today, Star Wars Outlaws launched onto PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Star Wars Outlaws is a semi-open world game allowing you to travel around the galaxy, interact with a bevy of unique Star Wars characters, and take on bounty missions as a scoundrel living on the Outer Rim. Star Wars Outlaws is developed by Massive Studios, the same developer who brought us the excellent Division series under the publishing label of Ubisoft. But Star Wars Outlaws didn't quite live up to the quality of its predecessors, so today on Game Rant, let's look at Star Wars Outlaws 365 days later. With Star Wars Outlaws, Massive had big shoes to fill, both of their own making, as the Division games are well-liked looter-shooter experiences, and of Star Wars' making, as many games had come from that IP with exceedingly good quality. Just 1 year before it, Star Wars Jedi Survivor had been released to really good reviews, being lauded for its story and its Souls-inspired gameplay. Star Wars Outlaws was set to put you in the Outer Rim, living the life of a bounty hunter, an idea which enraptured the minds of gamers, as it's a lesser explored theme parallel to the story of Han Solo. With all this, Star Wars Outlaws is a big game, or at least it tries to be. It's got stealth, open world space exploration, and third-person cover-based combat. The problem is, it doesn't do any of those things particularly well. Its stealth is weak and underbaked, its traversal is shallow and unimmersive, and its combat, while feeling quite good, has a lack of variety, seeing as how you only ever have one weapon you can truly wield. Star Wars Outlaws in this way reaches for everything but comes up a little short-handed. That's not to say that it's a bad game. There are elements of its story, of its world building, of its bounty hunting, and of its visuals that make it worth playing, but it's just not quite the Star Wars game many fans were dreaming of. And yeah, all that led to middling reviews on OpenCritic and on Steam. Currently it sits at a 75% with 68% of critics recommending it. Pam Ferdinand from Game Rant gave it a 7 out of 10, saying, "Massive Entertainment's Star Wars Outlaws open world scoundrel adventure shows a lot of promise, but it's bogged down by a few too many issues." Some reviewers like Chris Tapsell from Eurogamer were a little harsher, giving it a 2 out of 5 and saying Massive bravely peels away the many layers of Ubisoft open worldisms in Star Wars Outlaws. It's a fatal error. But then others like Kyle Hilliard from Game Informer quite enjoyed the title, giving it an 8.5 out of 10, saying moving between planets and wandering Outlaws' dense cities is where the adventure shines, but shooting your way through the current gig so that you can make it to the next is also compelling, if sometimes a little simple. Every review though dances right around that score of 7 out of 10, as the title seems to live in that mid-review range. Even Steam seems to agree, as the game has received a mostly positive rating from fans. It's a fine game, but it's nothing special. If you're a Star Wars fan, the fantasy of being a bounty hunter in a beautifully crafted open world is probably enough for this title to be worth a purchase, albeit at a discounted price. Thankfully though, over time the title has just continued to get better with updates. In the months after the launch of Star Wars Outlaws, the game saw a ton of improvements, bug fixes, lighting changes, and the implementation of better stealth systems. All of these things contributed to improving the overall baseline quality of the game. All of these changes go to make Star Wars Outlaws a lot better game today than it was a year ago. Combat feels punchy and realistic, stealth feels punishing yet rewarding, and the world feels explorable, dense with life, and free of bugs and glitches that had plagued its launch. From there, Massive would go on to add free DLC and paid DLC, with things like photo mode and costumes coming into the game for free, and DLCs like the Wildcard DLC starring Lando Calrissian and the Pirates Legacy DLC being paid additions to the game. The final thing to mention for Star Wars Outlaws is its port to the Nintendo Switch 2, which is taking place in just 5 days on September 4th. This is the gold edition of the game, bringing with it the season pass and being priced at a reasonable $60, a much better deal than you'll find on console or on PC when those versions aren't on sale. This will be a great jumping on point for a lot of players, as it allows them to play the game on the go without having to purchase anything else, and with all of the aforementioned updates already having been applied to the game, making it a much better experience at launch. That is, as long as the port is well done. Star Wars Outlaws is the quintessential 7 out of 10, a fact that is a little disappointing to many fans of the IP. But hopping back in here 1 year later, the title has been massively improved in terms of its combat, its world, and its bugs. It's also being brought to Nintendo Switch 2 here in the matter of days, giving a whole new audience a chance to try it out and form their own opinions. And while its price right now is $70, it often drops below $40, so it's good to keep an eye out. If you hadn't played Star Wars Outlaws, right now, 365 days later, might be the best time. So that's all, and thanks for watching.